So intellectualism is something Malayalis really pride themselves on, right?
Yeah.
But Malayalis have this very far vision of themselves as being a society that is primarily driven by political intellectualism, right? But just like any other state in the country, they are driven by considerations of caste, class, community, and welfareism, right? And political ignorance is fine,
Yeah.
right? It's just that I'm okay with political ignorance.
But then don't brag.
Don't brag, right? Don't brag about being intellectual. Don't brag about being aware. And this is actually something that's become more. I'm becoming more aware of it since I've come out of the state. But if in Kerala, if you do an average survey, other than within Kerala political awareness, they don't have, and this is true for every other state. Okay, they won't have awareness of what's happening in the other state. Fine. Problem is the average Malayali thinks that they know what's happening in UP.
Yeah.
And they know what's going to happen in 24.
Right. Correct.
That is the problem. That is where I have a problem.
Okay.
You have no understanding. You have no
clue.
idea about what's happening elsewhere or where the entire country is going. And yet you go, in such deep speeches people give, such deep thinking people have. I'm astounded. Which is why they thought in 2019 that, Rahul Gandhi is going to become chief prime minister. Something that many Tamils also thought, by the way, but Malayalis also were of, that majority that he got. Most of the people who voted on we're going to vote for the prime minister, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to be the next prime minister? That's how they thought.
Was that the reason also he got most of the votes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's the person who's fighting against Modi, who's anti-Muslim, communal, who's, completely destroyed the country in XYZ fashion. Rahul Gandhi is the protector of the people, right? And it is unfortunate reality that most people are unable to see through a lot of the things that the man does.
Okay.
Just remember the previous CPM chief minister, V.S. Achyutanandan. He explicitly called out love jihad, and he explicitly said PFI plans to convert Kerala into an Islamic state, etc., etc. So CPM is the China Communist Party. Okay, so CPM is the preeminent Communist Party, and CPI split, right? CPI was the Russian party, and CPM was the Maoist, or rather the Chinese party. And they say that that the way to achieve the intended aim of a communist society is through democratic means, through the constitution. They're democratic socialists with some amount of social reform and some amount of progressivism involved in their ideology. But essentially think of them as democratic socialists. That class division was exploited for a while by the Communist Party. But when, for example, when Saddam Hussein, when America invaded Iraq, for example, that day that Saddam Hussein got hanged, I think December 31st, 2006, we had a hartal.
Okay.
And that hartal was called by the Communist Party. And also during when Israel has become a very big deal.
Yeah, the Israel
whenever
and
Palestine issue
creeps up.
You will see these posters in Kerala, about the Palestine issue, about when the Saddam Hussein hartal thing I'm specifically talking about, because they identified that they needed to appease more and more members of the Muslim community if they wanted to retain political power.
Hello Ananth, how are you?
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. How's the ride?
Ride was good.
No issues coming in?
No issues. No, absolutely no issues.
So, let's start with what do you want to talk about first? So, I think we'll cover, I think, the major points of Kerala politics first.
Yeah.
And then we'll fuse in some elements of the other topics that we discussed, right?
Yeah.
So, let's start with the very beginning itself.
Yeah.
Not Adi Shankaracharya.
No. If you go to the very beginning, we have to go back to Parashuram. Lord Parashuram.
Nothing like it. I think we might have to plan a different podcast for that, because that is a different segment altogether.
Yes.
Right? But we'll take it up from the 50s, I guess.
From since Kerala became a state.
Exactly. So take it, man. Take it away.
So if you start Kerala politics, right? So if you start from the 50s, you will actually have to start even from before. Because what happened is, the Congress Socialist Party emerged in the late 30s during the independence movement. And at this point, Kerala as a state, or even as a conception, didn't exist. Kerala was basically, the place where Malayalam was spoken. The language of Malayalam was spoken. And that language itself is a very recent, comparatively recent language. It's actually an offshoot of Tamil. So if you look at Kerala politics, three regions are there: Malabar, Kochi and Travancore. Kochi and Travancore were kingdoms. Malabar was dominated until 19th century by the Zamarin king, the king of Calicut. And basically these three traditional regions existed where Malayalam was majorly spoken, right? So this conception, once the linguistic states became a thing in 56, right? Kerala was birthed. And as everybody knows, the first democratically elected communist government in the country was in Kerala. The Communist Party of India originally came into being, and they came into being as a result. They became so powerful as a result of the peasant movements in both South and North Kerala, in both the Travancore, Kochi, and the Malabar regions. They were very much involved in the peasant movements, right? In the land redistribution, in tenant rights, in peasant rights. They were very much involved in that. And that's how the communist movement came up, and that's how the communist movement acquired strength. And that's how, the CPI government came into being. And initially itself, they had a very ambitious reform program that got curtailed by a pushback by, the church along with the upper caste Naya Service Society coming together, along with the Muslim League, and along with the Congress party then, all coming together to, thwart the reform movement. And then for another 20 years, there was basically political instability, right? And then after emergency, it is at that point that we have the current setup of, the Left Democratic Front and the UDF, United Democratic Front, coming into being. UDF obviously led by the Congress, and the LDF, Left Democratic Front, led by the Communist Party of India, Marxist, CPM.
Right.
So from the 80s till the last election in 2021, or actually till the first 2016 election, you could call that the third phase of Kerala politics, or the phase of coalition politics that, India experienced for so long, from say 91 or 89 till 2014.
99 till the Vajpayee government came.
Yes, till 2014, right?
Yeah.
There was an entire series of coalition governments. So just like that, we have been experiencing a similar set of coalition governments. And the difference was that from every election from 82, it was alternate rule. So LDF ruled for 5 years, then UDF for 5 years. LDF for 5 years, UDF for 5 years. And that chain broke now in 2021 when, for the first time in history, the Left Democratic Front, a coalition government, got re-elected into office with Pinarayi Vijayan becoming chief minister again.
Okay.
So from 2016, when he first became CM, and that's a completely different tangent of politics. And one of the reasons is obviously them getting re-elected, and one of the reasons that they've been re-elected is the BJP's rise in the state, right? So from going from a below 5% or below 6% polling party in the state, BJP has become now 15% plus, almost.
And their major vote base is
upper caste. Rather than calling them upper caste, just to call them Naya community, along with parts of the Irava/Thea community, the OBC communities, and a very sparse amount of Christians, very small amount of Christians. But majorly the Nayas and some amount of Theas or Iravas.
Okay.
So BJP's rise basically meant that a lot of the votes that Congress used to get has been taken away, right? So that's a very interesting dynamic in the state because the BJP is more opposed to a BJP. If you pick up a normal BJP Karyakarta, they'd be more opposed to the Communist Party than to the Congress, right? Because there's a blood feud that's been going on, especially in northern Kerala, in Kannur. There's blood feud between the Jan Sangh, when was the Bharatiya Jan Sangh, and the CPM has its history from the 60s and 70s. So that blood feud is very much means that the animosity between a Sangh Karyakarta and a CPM worker is much more than a Sangh Karyakarta and a congressman. So, one of the refrains of the communists is that, Congress and BJP are hand in hand because they're both communal in nature.
Okay.
Right? So, because the communist...
So, in Kerala, Congress is also accused of being communal.
Yeah, Congress in many ways is, even in general terms, you can...
No, but they are not accused of so, right? But in Kerala, the communists don't mind...
yeah, they of course, they outright say they communalists. They call them communalists. In fact, see, the Communist Party has a very interesting relationship with... if you can go into the depth of that, it's very interesting because how they treat communalism, right? Their whole argument is that everybody else is not secular enough. We are the only truly secular party. and the Communist Party, the CPM. And the reason that one of the reasons that they argue that is BJP is supposed to be the Hindu communal party, right? And in at some points, they'll retain ambiguity on it, but they sometimes accuse the Muslim League, which is the major alliance partner of the Congress in Kerala, of also being communal, of being Muslim communalists, right?
Appeasing
appeasing Muslims. Yeah. Muslim League is explicitly meant to represent the Muslim community of Kerala, right? And Tamil Nadu to an extent. They have presence in Tamil Nadu as well. But that's how they used to phrase them for so long. How they've changed their dynamic and how they've changed their relationship with the Muslim community is also a very interesting topic if you want to get into that.
Yeah, please.
But it's very interesting. For the past 30 odd years, till 2016 or so, from 1982, 1977 till 2016, it was one phase of politics, right? It was a singular phase of coalition politics. But now that's completely changed. And both the Communist Party and the Congress are, both in the state, in Kerala state, and generally the state itself is coming to grips with the fact that they are very much not in the national mainstream in many ways, right? So this is an increasing sentiment that I originally rejected. I thought, we'll always be part of the mainstream. There will never be this sort of alienation that happens. But I feel that, the alienation, the political alienation that the elites feel in Kerala have increased over time. And that's because, for example, in the 2019 elections, 19 out of 20 or 20 out of 20 seats went to the Communist Party won one seat. All the rest 19, the UDF allies won.
Okay.
Right? And Kerala overwhelmingly voted. Rahul Gandhi got like a massive majority from Wayanad. All their MPs got great majorities. One of the reasons was the Sabrimala issue. But the other major reason that the Congress got so many votes and the UDF got so many votes is because people rejected most Malayalis rejected the Prime Minister coming back to Narendra Modi ji coming back into power, right? Okay. They preferred Rahul Gandhi. They wanted Rahul Gandhi back, right? So, and not that he's more popular. If you do the polling, Modi ji, the Prime Minister has like approval rates of around 30%, 35% or so in the state consistently. But BJP only has like 20% maximum they have achieved overall in the state. So there is that divergence. But moreover, the problem is that the elites, right? The Congress leaders, the CPM leaders, all those people who used to matter in politics in Delhi itself, they don't matter anymore, right? Okay. And the Malayali representative in the cabinet, V. Muralidharan, has been elected from Rajya Sabha from Maharashtra, right? And we've not had a single MP. Right? The only MLA seat that BJP had in Kerala, they've lost. Okay. So in the last election. So basically, that BJP is the preeminent national force now, right? They have they are ruling the central. They are ruling the center. They rule multiple states. In many ways, they represent the national mainstream, right? But they don't have enough of a presence in Kerala to be representative.
Yeah, that's a good point. So before we come to the issue of BJP not being able to make a mark in Kerala politics, I just wanted to get a sense of why is communism still relevant, or it's just a name, so to speak. CPIM is just a name, Communist Party of India or whatever. But beyond that, there's no relation to the actual ethos of communism, because it has been tried and tested. It's failed. So how is the communism of Kerala, so to speak, different or similar to the actual communism of
from where Russians,
where it originated?
Yeah.
So basically,
so CPM is the China Communist Party. Okay, so CPM is the preeminent Communist Party, and CPI split, right? CPI was the Russian party, and CPM was the Maoist, or rather the Chinese party.
Yeah.
So what happened is that when the split occurred, almost all the major leaders went with CPI, and the masses retained with CPM. So that's how they say it. I am from my background is from a CPM party family, my father's side. So they say that, the masses were with CPM and the leaders went with CPI.
Okay.
So for a long time, CPI, even after the split, they were quite dominant. But overall, now they become basically like a second-rung party to CPM, right? But so how would you say it's relevant? they're not practicing communism in the sense that
Exactly, that's my point.
Yeah,
because
the
if they're
Chinese
not practicing
yeah,
it,
they're
then-
democratic socialists, right?
Yeah.
You can argue that they're democratic socialists, and they have true believers. Okay, they have true believers in the party's mission to achieve communism through democratic means. That's how they're phrasing it. Okay, they're phrasing it as obviously as a nationally recognized political party, they have to accept the constitution. Both those parties accept the constitution, and they say that the way to achieve the intended aim of a communist society is through democratic means through the constitution.
Okay.
So that's the ideological basis for their existence. But in reality, if you're speaking like a political scientist, they're democratic socialists with some amount of social reform and some amount of progressivism involved in their ideology. But essentially, think of them as democratic socialists.
So, where does the Hindu, Muslim, and Christian card factor in their
In the
politics?
communist thinking,
Exactly, yeah, in the not in the communist thinking, but again the democratic socialist way of working, so to speak, in the current CPIM.
okay, so
How do they factor that in, and what is their stance on appeasement politics, and how do they, because every politician has to appease at some point of time, right?
Yeah.
So how do they do it?
So the Communist Party for such a long time, and even now to a greater extent, has, as majority of its supporters, majority of its leaders, majority of its people are Hindus, right? And in fact, there have been times where they've explicitly played an anti-Muslim card, right? Even in the 2021 elections, in certain ways, they've played the anti-Muslim or anti-Islamist card, okay? But what has happened is since the 2000s, they have shifted from becoming a more and more pro-Islamist party. And that is due to the increasing wealth and influence and the demographic changes that are happening in Kerala. The Communist Party has adapted. So CPM has adapted to also represent the greater interests of the Muslim elites as well. Some amounts of Muslim elites as well. So the Muslim elites always used to be with the Congress and the Muslim League in Kerala, right? The Muslim League explicitly was a vehicle of their interests. So the Muslim League today, the Indian Union Muslim League today, their state president is the head of the Tangal family, okay, which is the leaders of the Sunni religion in Kerala. They're more or less
Okay.
the
face, so to speak.
the theological head,
Yeah.
let's say, right, in the sense that they're the social leaders of the Sunni Muslim community, right? That's what the Muslim League's leadership is. Their topmost leader is, right? And so they've been explicitly a representative or a vehicle of Muslim elite interests. But a lot of poorer Muslims used to vote for the Communist Party, and because the class division exists, right? And that class division was exploited for a while by the Communist Party. But when, for example, when Saddam Hussein, when America invaded Iraq, for example, that day that Saddam Hussein got hanged, I think December 31st, 2006, we had a hartal.
Okay.
And that hartal was called by the Communist Party. And the reason that they called it is because, and also during when Israel has become a very big deal. Like
Yeah, the Israel
whenever
and
Palestine issue,
creeps up.
you will see these posters in Kerala, okay, about the Palestine issue, about when the Saddam Hussein hartal thing I'm specifically talking about, because they identified that they needed to appease more and more members of the Muslim community if they wanted to retain political power.
Yeah.
So they went along on this path. This was explicitly masterminded from around 2001. They lost an assembly election. From then on, they've been slowly adjusting to this demographic reality. And Pinarayi Vijayan is the most pro-Islamist CPM leader that we've had. Okay. Just remember the previous CPM chief minister, V.S. Achyutanandan. He explicitly called out love jihad.
Yeah.
And he explicitly said PFI plans to convert Kerala into an Islamic state, etc., etc. And he's the first major political leader to do so before any BJP leader did so.
He was not from CPM.
He is from CPM.
Okay.
V.S. Achyutanandan is from CPM.
Achha, because the government repeated again.
No, this is 2008 was when this happened. This is the V.S. Achyutanandan's first term in 2006 to 2011.
Okay.
Then 2011.
Then he had realized
That's when he talked about it. He talked about it in 2008. So Communist Party in the past also has been very explicitly against, this Muslim appeasement in many ways. They've taken a very secular line. Like when Babri happened, obviously they were against it. They've had this representation of Hindu secularism, so to speak. So most of their cadre is still Hindu, right? Most of their support base is still Hindu, and so they've always had this sort of Hindu secularist angle, right? So in 1956-57, when they had the first election, in fact, they actually played a pro-Hindu card. There was an issue of when Sabrimala, the deity, was desecrated. Then there was a small incident that happened. Not small. There was an incident that happened then, and they made that an issue against the Christians of that area in 56-57. And even in 2004, the Lok Sabha elections, there was a set of riots in near my hometown of Calicut called Marad, where Muslims fishermen killed Hindu fishermen. Okay, and that became a huge communal issue. And the response of the Hindu community in the state was to vote against the Congress. And they voted for the CPM. Because the CPM explicitly said, this is why they are encouraging the communalism of the Muslim League. Muslim League leaders were involved in this incident. And so the Communist Party has played that very, very deft game.
Yeah.
But now since these demographic changes happening, since their funders are from a certain community, especially in North Kerala, they are increasingly feeling more and more amenable to Islamist interests.
Got it.
Right? So that is a very big problem within the party. And this whole, again, I don't like talking about personal lives of people, but the fact of the matter is the Chief Minister's son-in-law, is a political leader, is a minister of PWD, Mohammed Riaz. He's Minister of PWD and Tourism. And
okay, the current Chief Minister's son-in-law is a Muslim.
Is a Muslim, Mohammed Riaz. And he was a former DYFI national president, whatnot. He did come up on his own, but there is this feeling. He is the Chief Minister's son-in-law. He's also explicitly been promoted in multiple ways over many other, let's say, more deserving candidates within the party. So there is that feeling of increasing alienation that is happening because there is this nepotism angle as well. So there is an increasing discomfiture with how the party is moving within certain elements of the party organization. But the fact of the matter is that the Communist Party has been very effective. The CPM has been very effective in bringing together this grand coalition of Hindus, Muslims, and even Christians this time. So in 2021, this is something I wanted to say. 2021, they explicitly were against. They explicitly gave EWS reservation for Hindu upper caste and for Christians. Okay, this is very much against what the Muslim community wanted.
All right.
So, and they played this very small anti-Islamist card by talking about this EWS issue, other related issues with respect to how the Muslim community is being favored in certain quarters. And that helped them with this record tally that they got and their re-election as well. So they've built up a very grand coalition for themselves, but it will very much come crashing down because there's been a lot of divergence between the minority communities, between the Hindus and Christians on the one side and the Christians and the Muslims on the other side. There's a lot of, let's say it's going down a very bad path.
We'll come to that
later,
Hindu, the religion divide. We'll come to, we'll cover that in the later segment. Let's come to the initial point of RSS stronghold. But then again, BJP is not able to consolidate the Hindus. So what is that? What is the angle there? If you want to deep dive into the background, the history of it as well, know, covering that Jansangh or RSS, it had such a stronghold. It still holds the fort, I think. But then BJP is not able to capitalize on that. So why is that?
So the problem is that the Overton window in Kerala, right? It's in many ways it's still stuck in the 80s or the 90s, right?
Okay.
So till this re-election happened right now, there was a lot of, a lot of the political issues, a lot of the dynamics were still, people are still thinking in the terms of the 80s and the 90s, right? So much so that it felt very out of place from, the national politics. That's why I said, national mainstream is going on another path, right? Where the BJP and its allies are gaining strength. Even in Tamil Nadu, for that matter, whatever Annamalai ji is doing, there's a narrative in there. And ADMK explicitly was with the NDA, right? Kerala has never had that. Kerala has never had an NDA government. Kerala has never had a pro-BJP government, right? Or pro-Sangh government. So that's primarily due with the demographic reality of the state, right? The greater reality is that the RSS has never been able to puncture Kerala politics per se because the CPM and the Congress has been so competitive, right? and the Congress has been a proxy for certain RSS elements for so long. So you would see that there's a divergence between how the RSS leadership views the state and how the BJP views the state, right? There is still that amount of divergence with respect to how the RSS leadership is operating in a silo, BJP leadership is operating in another silo. So that is a very real, let's say, divergence that exists in Kerala. And even though the Sangh is so powerful, they have as many amount of shakas, as many amount of this thing, that thing. Socially, their impact is still limited, right? It's changed.
But why is that? Is it because
the party holds a lot of strength, right? The Communist Party, from the ground up, has is organizationally so vibrant, so well structured, that it gets to know the pulse of the people. It is present at every nook and cranny. It has its own representative at every single element that you want to go to. If you take up any organization, any government organization, that it will have a CITU union, right? The unions are an element of their strength. The government associations are an element of their strength. So what has happened is the Communist Party is pervasive in all elements of society, whether it be art, culture, whatever, right? In all elements of society, they are present and they are able to keep a check on what's happening there, right? And for so long, the BJP has been out of that. The Sangh has never accrued enough, let's say, any of the trade unions, right? It's only now that the Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh is breaking into the Road Transport Corporation's trade union. So long they were not there. So what has happened is that it was basically, you are either commie or you're anti-commie, right? And if you're an anti-commie, you're with the Congress. So what happened is that a lot of people who are pro-Sangh or pro-RSS or pro this thing, they were in the Congress. And even now, there are leaders within the Congress that are very much have a good connection with RSS, right? There are leaders. I don't want to name names, but there are leaders in the Kerala Congress leadership that have very much a good relationship with.
Is it safe to say that the kind of role BJP plays in the rest of the country was played by Congress itself? Because if majority of its leaders were part of the Sangh itself,
not majority,
then in a way,
but there were
Congress was substituting for
the
role that BJP plays in the rest of the country.
Yes, more or less.
So if somebody is voting for Congress in Kerala, there's a heavy chance that the same person with the same ideology would vote for BJP in the rest of the states.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So I don't want to play up this element so much because BJP isn't so powerful either, right? BJP isn't all pervasive and they never became that this thing because they've never been able to accrue political power at any stage, right? So this demographic reality also puts a dampener on how much consolidation you can achieve, right? Because it's 52% Hindu, right? And
Kerala still?
Yeah. It's only 52%, 50% Hindu.
Congrats, man.
55%, I guess, if you go by census.
Oh, brilliant.
So 27% Muslim and rest is Christian, right? 18% or so, I think. So what I'm trying to say is that demography plays a huge role, right? And the demographic limitations mean that, and let's be honest, BJP state leadership has utterly failed in many ways. That's also a reason. They're very much a divided house even now. That is also a problem for them. So, these issues that exist within the BJP and their inability to channelize, and the winnability factor also exists, right? Because if you're a BJP voter in northern Kerala, there's not a single seat you're going to win, right? Better to keep the communists out if you're thinking in that way and vote for the Congress, right? So which is why all the Sabrimala votes, if you see, a lot of the Sabrimala, when 2018, when the Sabrimala issue happened, and 2019 when the general elections came, a lot of the Hindu members of the Hindu community voted for the Congress as a rejection of the communists and what they were trying to do in Sabrimala. So, it's that sort of dynamic exists. So, in that way, it's very likely that a BJP voter is more likely to vote for Congress. So there are obviously pure Congress voters also, and they form a big chunk of the state as well, right? Okay. So essentially, if you want to break it down, let's say the communists are one side, right, and they have representing the Idava community, certain elements of the upper caste in the northern state where they don't want. So this is another interesting thing, by the way. In northern Kerala, all the Hindus vote for communists more or less, because they don't want Muslim League and the Congress to get power, because Muslim League is very powerful there.
So just to clarify that point, when you say upper class or elites of Kerala, can you broadly give us a outline of who these people are, or caste wise who these people are? Because interestingly you mentioned that Nayars are not Brahmins.
Yeah.
So but then Nayars are kind of upper
They are upper
considered.
caste. They are
So
upper
what
caste.
is that dynamic?
And they're Shudras.
Yeah, so what is that what is happening there?
So in Kerala, what happened is that there are no Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, right? There's only the Brahmins, the Shudras, the Avarnas, and then the scheduled castes, so the Dalits, right? The untouchables. What was called the untouchables, so the Dalits, what we call Dalits now, or scheduled castes more appropriately named. So what happened is that Brahmins' political power was negated in the before independence itself in many ways. And Kerala Brahmins are a very small community, and they are barely even 1% even now. Right?
Okay.
There are in fact more Tamil Brahmins in Kerala than there are Kerala Brahmins or Nambudiris. Okay. Then there are the Nayars, which are the, let's say, the pseudo Kshatriya community, or basically the land holding warrior class, so to speak. And then there's the lower caste, Idava or Tiyag caste, which is now the OBC caste. The Idavas and the Tiyas, so the Tiyas were powerful in parts of the north Kerala. They were they were also the certain groups, they were also dominant in certain parts also. So it's not just a unilateral, okay, these are up, these are low. It wasn't like that. Obviously, it's a little dynamic. But Idavas and Tiyas were the lower caste, and they were called Avarnas. They were not Savarnas, they were Avarnas. They were outside the caste system. But they were not untouchables. Okay. They were separate set of untouchables who were untouchable to the Idavas and Tiyas themselves also. So this was the sort of division. There was a Savarna-Avarna division more than the, let's say, the Kshatriya Shudra or the Brahmin Shudra division. This is the dynamic. So in Kerala, Idavas are around 25% of the population. Idavas/Tiyas are around 25% of the population. Nayars form around 12 to 13% of the population. And then the rest are the anomalous castes, SCs, STs, every other Hindu group. Christians are around 18%. And Christians, there are like 7 churches.
Now,
and then the rest are Muslims.
Got it. So these castes, we are specifically talking about Hindus within these castes. Yeah. But there are Muslims and Christians as well.
No, all of them are Hindus.
All of them are Hindus.
Yes. Yeah. You don't see like a...
So Christians and Muslims have denounced...
more or less. But
the class divide is still there.
Class divide is there. And the Christian community in the past have targeted upper caste. For a while in the 20th century, they targeted the lower classes to convert. And they also still do target, certain communities to convert as well. There are instances of, people who convert to Christianity and still retain their caste. Yeah. Right? But that's not as prevalent. You are not going to see a Naya Christian. That's not really a thing in Kerala. If you're a Naya, you're most likely Hindu. So there's no Naya Christian or a Muslim Idava or something like that.
Okay.
The caste class distinction, that is your caste religion distinction, is very much there.
Got it.
So this is the social breakup of Kerala. So in as I was coming to the point that the Communist Party, they depend on a lot of these Idava Tiya votes. Broadly speaking, a lot of the Nayars in northern Kerala vote for Communist Party because they don't want the Muslim League to come to power. Obviously there are revolutionary upper castes also. They also vote for the CPM. And then the Congress is generally an element of this nationalism combined with, the elements of, the Nayars, the southern Nayars who are, former feudal lords or whatever, along with the Nasranis or the elite Christians. They form the anti-communist coalition. So Kerala is basically communists versus anti-communists in that way, right? And BJP is like a division in both because they take some elements of the communist vote also. But they majorly take this Naya vote and the Idava vote, the nationalistic element votes. A lot of those nationalistic element votes now go for the BJP.
Okay, and BJP is trying to still...
they're trying to break in, but it's a very hard task. Everything is set against them. The narrative is set against them. The media is set against them. It's not an easy task, right? Yeah. It's not an easy task at all. And the Communist Party is very effective in its propaganda. Very, very effective in its propaganda. And one thing that I have always... I told you I'm from a Communist Party. I grew up, adoring E.K. Nayanar, former Chief Minister of Kerala, A.K. Gopal, and a lot of EMS. I grew up adoring a lot of these people, to be honest. And one of their most powerful strengths is cadre discipline, right? If the leadership says you have to jump from this hill, they'll jump. If they say go and kill that person, they'll kill. That's how they maintain strength.
Yeah.
And that is let's say, even though Kerala is considered this very progressive, very dynamic society, Communist Party, if they draw a line in the sand and they tell their leadership, you cannot cross, if they tell their people, you cannot cross this line, nobody will. Which is why when Sabrimala happened, that's a very interesting statistic that I like to point out to you. So when Sabrimala issue happened, there was polling done, obviously, with Hindus as to how many people support the judgment, how many people oppose the judgment. Okay.
Oh, really? Is that?
There was polling. Yeah. There was a polling done by the CSDS Lokniti. They do that post-poll survey.
How did they conduct that?
They do the sampling survey.
Okay.
It's a sampling survey. I don't know how much they did in Kerala, but I think it's accurate. And the reason I tell you why it's accurate is because, so when they did it before the elections in 2019, I think it was around 76% or so of Hindus overall said they were opposed to the judgment.
Yeah.
I don't know the number. I don't remember the exact number. Don't quote me on it. There was this more than majority said they were opposed to the judgment. But after a couple of years, when the 2021 legislative elections came around, they did again do the polling and they asked whether or not you opposed to support the judgment. The amount of people who opposed the judgment compared to 2019 increased in 2021.
Okay.
And you know why the number increased? The number increased because the Communist Party explicitly withdrew its public sentiment again for the judgment. So they were campaigning from 2018 to 19 on, implementing the judgment, right? And they tried to do all sorts of stuff to implement the judgment, so to speak. But once they saw this defeat, they withdrew. I mean, it was inevitable. They knew they were going to be defeated. But after 2019, Sabrimala is not a political issue in Kerala anymore. It's done and dusted. It's done. And so you will see that because the party has explicitly withdrawn its stand, it no longer talks about Sabrimala. More people are willing to speak their mind and tell people that, yes, we oppose the judgment.
Yeah. And where does this stand now? Like the judgment
the party
was not in favor of the
what
general sentiment, right? That we don't want women to enter the temple.
Yeah,
but the court went against it, right?
The court went against it. Obviously, the reaction came. There was a lot of protest.
This was High Court, right?
Supreme Court.
Supreme Court
decision. 5-judge bench written by
our venerable. Who was the?
It was Justice Deepak Mishra and Justice Kanvilkar wrote a judgment.
Okay.
Concurring judgments by Justice Chandrachud and Justice Rohinton Nariman.
Okay.
So Justice
and all 5 of them.
It was a 4-1 decision. Justice Indu Malhotra dissented.
Okay.
This was a Supreme Court judgment in 2018, September 2018. So that went for appeal. It was reviewed and it's been sent for review along with the entire jurisprudence on essential religious doctrine has been sent for review.
Yeah.
So Sabrimala is currently in pending appeal. Okay. So there should be a 7-judge or a 7-judge bench, I think, that needs to be constituted. That has not been constituted yet. So what is happening right now is Sabrimala is, it's basically status quo ante. Whatever was before the judgment, young women between the ages of 10 and 50, they're not allowed to enter the temple.
They're still not allowed.
They're still not allowed.
But then, so basically the
judgment is basically suspended, practically speaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no implementation.
On ground. So they tried. There were 2 women were snuck in by the Communist Party on January 1st, 2019.
Yeah.
December 31st night, January 1st, 2019. So that night they snuck in 2 people. But the prayashchita, whatever the ritual, this thing was done. It's been happened before also. The actual ritual sanctioning is against women who menstruate, right?
Yeah.
So it's happened before also, and rituals have been done before also to rectify the sin that's been committed. So it was done then also. So since then, as far as I am aware and as far as I know, there has been no violation of that. And as of now, the ritual, the sanctions continues to be that
the sanctity remains.
The sanctity of the temple remains.
Makes sense. And it's still pending for review.
It'll pend for review. I don't think Justice Chandrachud, Chief Justice Chandrachud is inclined to look into it.
Okay.
Because public sentiment is very much against it in Kerala. It's done and dusted. There's no way it's gonna go back anymore. Communist Party is definitely not interested in reopening it.
They don't want to touch it anymore.
They don't want to touch it. In fact, in 2021 on polling day, the Chief Minister of the state, Pinarayi Vijayan, who was up for re-election, he said, the Communist Party, the Kerala government has the blessings of all the gods, including Ayyappa. This is a statement he made when he was just on the polling day. So you would see how he's changed his
the
tune.
nerve, huh?
Yeah, there is this nerve. Let's not go into him and his antics.
Acha, before we move on to the other topic, in between, I think you mentioned so much for Kerala being sort of this intellectually driven society, right?
They like to think. We like to think of
Yeah.
ourselves like that.
So I wanted to get into that because from the inception of whatever time, we've been, all the states have been told that, or in generally also we study a lot that, Kerala has the highest number of literate people and,
Very progressive society.
Yeah. So what do you have to say on that? So on ground you might say that there are people who've passed high school, so to speak, but how does it translate into actual knowledge and people being knowledgeable and aware of things, right? How in sync is that with the actual reality is what I want to ask.
See, I think that there are elements of success in Kerala society, right? And one of the successes has been this literacy rate, and one of the success has been schooling. Broadly speaking, schooling has also been very successful. It is a highly educated society. There's no doubt about that. But are we, this idea that we are very much highly intellectual, highly thinking people. I mean, we are like any other group of people, I feel. Like, Malayalis are, as smart or as educated as any other group. I don't want to say that we are the most educated. The literacy rate is definitely an achievement. Okay, there's no doubt about it. And that has to do with a lot of primary school interventions that both the Travancore Kochi family did. And then there was this village library program that happened in the 70s. A lot of P.N. Padikkar was a doyen of that, village readership. There's a lot of successes, right? There's no doubt that HDI wise, Kerala has been a very successful state. There's no doubt about it. But is our political culture truly superior? I don't think so. Political culture in the state is very much like any other state, right? I don't think it's particularly successful or particularly at the standards of Scandinavian countries or any of that. Is Keralites like to believe that, but I don't think so. And the ultimate reality is that economically Kerala has been a failure, right? The only reason the Kerala has the sort of growth and sort of consumer-driven spending that they have right now, all the economic strength that they have is a result of the Gulf boom, right? Is a result of the Gulf and the Persian Gulf success, right? Because basically what we've done is we've basically exported an entire chunk of people from the 90s till 2010s, 2020s. They've all gone to the Gulf, right? They've all gone to the Gulf. And people from 2010s to 2020s, they've gone to Bangalore, majorly to Bangalore. If you go to Bangalore, you'll see so many Malayalis there, and or to other places in the country, and they're basically earning there and sending back money home. Kerala, Kerala has limited success. There's been successes with respect to IT parks. There's been limited success with respect to in Kochi or Trivandrum or to an extent in Calicut. But economically speaking, Kerala is very much in a very bad position. Both the government of Kerala, physically speaking, and economic growth per se, right? So if you're measuring the state's success, you need not just measure HDI, right? Measuring HDI is great, and that way, yes, it's been successful in many ways. But is it sustainable long term? Is it a state that has economic strength? Does it have economic power? Does it have economic heft? It doesn't. It doesn't have the economic heft of Tamil Nadu or Karnataka, which are much bigger states, but it doesn't even have the economic heft of a comparable state like Jharkhand if you look at the GST collections, right? So Kerala, economically speaking, is in many ways there are a lot of questions that we must ask ourselves that we haven't asked. But I'll come to the point of the intellectualism, right? Yeah. Intellectualism, I think it's very fake.
No. Actually, I wanted you to complete that thought itself. We'll come to intellectualism later on. Why do you think that is? Like, is it because of the ideology of communism that has, is that to blame in terms of not being able to capitalize on certain elements of privatization and stuff like that?
There's definitely an element of that, right? The honest reality of Kerala state and the Kerala state public sector units is that it's done for, right? I like public sector units and the idea of
actually. it might sound a little weird, but then the public sector unit. Do you think that there's culturally it draws parallels with the West Bengal, so to speak, because there's also this element of sort of laid back 9 to 5 government kind of a job.
Yeah, that exists. That is definitely an
That
element.
is there as
But
well, right?
Malayalis, once they go out,
Yeah.
they work really hard and they're very successful. They're
The
very successful in the
Bengalis
country.
also do
Bengalis
that. But
also
then
do that.
in your own turf, you're like it
Very
should be more
relaxed.
laid
Yes,
back and
we are very
relaxed. That is-
unwilling to do the hard work
Yeah,
in
yeah.
our state. That is very
if
true.
things don't pan out outside of our state, then maybe we'll come back and
Yes, that is that might
element
be an
is-
element, but I don't feel like Malayalis are generally not hardworking. I think it's more an element of Malayalis want very white collar jobs, right? They want white collar jobs, and white collar jobs are never there in Kerala. And the reason that, and this is where communism plays a role, which is that we've not industrialized. Right? There's no major industry to speak of. There's no major industry that's coming into the state. We've not encouraged an MSME ecosystem like in Coimbatore. You can see the very stark difference. So Kanchikode, it is next to Coimbatore in Kerala. It used to be an industrial estate. Is an industrial estate. It used to be very successful for a while, right? But since the 70s and 80s, you see that industrialization going down. And what has happened is that all the daily wage laborers in the country are from outside the state, right? Nothing wrong with that because Kerala's pay so high, right? Kerala's pay so high because they're boosted by the remittance economy. So they pay so high, a lot of people come work there as daily wage laborers. So Malayalis as a group have gone outside the state to earn, while other people are coming inside the state to earn the daily wage, whatever this thing. But jobs for Malayalis within Kerala or Keralates within Kerala have not panned out because there's been no push to that end, right?
That's how the communist government is, right? Because instead of being democratic socialist party, they could try being democratic capitalist party.
They can.
For the change.
No, see, that's the thing, right? They will find no contradiction in doing it. They find no contradiction in being with these very rich.
I mean, it should come naturally to them because they began with being communists, right?
Yes.
To be honest, so from being communist to becoming socialist now in this day and age.
Yeah, they have to be capitalists.
To make that change in their policy or their ideology even, I don't think that should be much of an issue for them.
They've been trying to do that, but the problem is that they still don't have a vision. The party doesn't have a vision for the future. The party doesn't have a vision for the country, vision for their state, right? What they want to continue doing is this Hindu communalist angle. Oh, the BJP is going to come, the RSS is going to come, you don't vote for the Congress. Modi is going to rule the country, destroy the country. The only way to stop that is through, voting for Pinarayi. They want to do that sort of politics. And welfareism.
Fighting Congress by using their own Congress's methods from the rest of the states.
From the rest of the country.
Yeah,
yes.
that is great.
Because they're very much focused on this K-rail thing, okay, this semi-high-speed rail project that they're proposing. I'm not particularly opposed to that idea. High-speed rail is a good idea, I think. But the problem is it helps transportation, right? It helps commuting, but it doesn't bring in investment or jobs or any of that let's say, for example, today, I think the news, a couple of days back or today, the news broke that Corning is going to invest in Telangana, right? Gorilla Glass car makers.
Okay.
And, whatever iPhones are going to be, so many more iPhones are going to be manufactured in Chennai. Or Winstrom, who's manufacturing iPhones in Bangalore or in Karnataka. Or, all the, whichever state is, whether it's the DMK or the Congress in Karnataka or any other state, they all want to bring in investment one way or the other, right? Kerala is nowhere in that picture that way, right? Kerala is not even looking to do that. They're still stuck in that, there's still no vision for Kerala's economy or Kerala's future per se. It's still just a half-assed set of thoughts that a divergent group of people have, and that's it. There's no push.
No vision.
No vision.
Short, yeah, correct.
Yes. So this comparison exists between Pinarayi being Mundita Modi, a Malayali person who's a Malayali Modi, right?
Okay.
Mundita Modi, which means a Modi who's wearing a mundu.
Okay.
Mundu is the traditional veshti that Malayalis wear.
Okay.
So there's that idea that Pinarayi is that because of very disingenuous comparison of him being authoritarian and stuff like that, along with him bringing in development and things like welfareism, things like that. But the honest truth of the matter is that my view is that the Prime Minister has a great vision for the country, right? The Prime Minister has a vision for whether you disagree with it, you agree with it, whatever, the man has a vision. And though he's working tirelessly towards it, he has a view of the country and where it's going, right? And whether Pew research shows that at least majority of the country is optimistic about the future, right? But if you look at Malayalis and especially the youth between 18 to 30 who are within the state, or 18 to 45 within the state, what is their vision of the vision, right? What do they feel optimistic? I don't think so, right? Or does it seem like Kerala, the Pinarayi government has a vision for the state? It doesn't seem so. It doesn't seem like there is any vision beyond doing normal politicking, right? And that is very, for somebody who's very optimistic, who's looking forward to future and things like that, like me. I don't want to settle in Delhi. I don't want to settle in Bangalore, right? I want to go back to my state.
Yeah.
I want to be able to live a good life. I ideally would be wanting to work there, right? But no such opportunity exists for me other than a government job.
Where does the intellectualism come into play then?
Yeah. So intellectualism is something Malayalis really pride themselves on, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, there are great intellectuals, just like any other society. There have been great intellectuals among Malayalis also, and I have no doubt about that. ISRO scientists, if I may brag about them.
Yeah.
So many of them are Malayalis. Yes, Somanath ji is a Malayali, right? Radha Krishna, who was the former chairman, he was a Malayali. Madhavan Nair, who is also a Malayali. So many of them are Malayalis. Malayalis have been successful in so many different fields. There's no doubt about it. But Malayalis have this very far vision of themselves as being a society that is primarily driven by political intellectualism, right? But just like any other state in the country, they are driven by considerations of caste, class, community, and welfareism, right? There is no. They want to think of especially the communist intellectuals would like to think of themselves as being driven by this because it gives their party and it gives their movement a greater meaning, right? People always look for greater meaning in what they do, right? And the true believers of the Communist Party, because the Communist Party is so successful in Kerala, want to attribute this sort of grander, greater intellectualism to the Malayali people, right? But I don't find it to be true. I find that, even if you've gone through schooling, even if you're literate, you're not going to be particularly politically aware, right? And the honest reality is that most people don't care about politics as much, right? And nobody's going to care about Pinarayi or Modi or Gadkari ji or Rahul Gandhi or this thing other than the food they're having, other than being able to afford something they want to eat, other than the electricity charges that they have. Not to sound like a intellectual, but there's limitations how much people care about politics and political ideology and political discourse, right?
I mean, given the state of Indian
politics,
schooling anyway,
yes.
If you're bragging on being well educated in terms of Indian schooling, then maybe chances are that you're more likely politically ignorant.
Yes, and political ignorance is fine, right? It's just that I'm okay with political ignorance.
But then don't brag.
Don't brag, right? Don't brag about being intellectual. Don't brag about being aware. And this is actually something that's become more. I'm becoming more aware of it since I've come out of the state, and I'm working here. Or I'm seeing what happens elsewhere in the country. Malayalis like to think of themselves in such a higher, superior plane. Again, I don't want to trash my group of my community or anything, but Malayalis think that they know everything. Right? They have this belief that they are aware of what's happening in state politics, national politics.
That is across India.
Across India.
That problem. Yeah. From north to south, you'll find it everywhere. Be it UPites or even Kashmiri.
See, the difference is, I mean to say that, a UPite, he is aware of national politics in the sense that, he has much more of a understanding like BJP hai, Congress hai. And BJP is more, like for 2019, for example, almost everyone knew that BJP is going to be re-elected, right? That's a higher possibility. But if you do an average survey of Malayalis, most of them were of the opinion Rahul Gandhi is going to become Prime Minister. Even today, when 2024 happens, I don't know what the political environment
will be. What is the basis of that understanding?
that understanding is because of what they've been told. Okay, what the media tells them. Even today, if you go, when the UP elections happened last year, you know, a lot of people were expecting BJP to be wiped out. Because that's the image that the media is portraying. And one of the problems is that Malayalis consume news a lot, right? And they have no idea that the media that they're listening to, the Malayalam regional media, they don't have any understanding of what's happening in any state, right? They go by whatever the national media random narratives are set. They have no greater insight into Kerala or India politics or any other states' politics. But Malayalis take the word for granted, which is why they thought in 2019 that, you know, Rahul Gandhi is going to become chief prime minister. Something that many Tamils also thought, by the way, but Malayalis also were of, you know, that majority that he got. Most of the people who voted on we're going to vote for the prime minister, right? Who's going to be the next prime minister? That's how they thought.
Was that the reason also he got most of the votes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's the person who's fighting against Modi, who's anti-Muslim, anti, you know, communal, who's, you know, completely destroyed the country in XYZ fashion. Rahul Gandhi is the protector of the people, right? And it is unfortunate reality that most people are unable to see through a lot of the things that the man does. Or the man barely attends parliament. I don't know if you know this entire disqualification nonsense.
Track record is,
if you look at his track record, I'm like, what are the people of Wayanad even? Not that MP has to do much, okay? Like, but still, if you're going by the idea that this guy is some sort of great parliamentarian, he's not. Fine, he's a senior leader, he's a member of the biggest part that he has to play is the son of Rajiv Gandhi, right? He's that big family ka representative. That's it. So I don't understand how, you know, this thinking is there. Forget within state, outside our country also, you know, a lot of people buy into his image. I just don't understand how they don't see the very real point about nepotism and dynastic politics. And Rahul Gandhi is older than Yogi Adityanath, right? And Yogi Adityanath is a second-term chief minister who's done a pretty good job in UP, law and order wise, bringing in investment, things like that. He has administrative heft and experience. And if you compare that to Rahul Gandhi, who has done nothing in his life. He's never been a minister. What has he done?
The poor guy hasn't been given a chance, man.
He had a golden opportunity since 2004. How can you say he hasn't had a chance? I don't know. Like
that one. Yeah, that's.
But even that way, like Malayalis, they don't think about this, right? They don't think about. The only thing that they see about Yogi is a saffron wearing guy who's a communalist who's going about beating up people or whatever not. There was that Siddiq incident. I'm saying
a lot of the rest of India is also to blame for it. It's not like it's not very common. Just in the parts of Kerala, but I think you find the same sort of.
That's a section of society, right? No, if we talk
that is a section of society who claims to be well aware of.
Yes, that is what I'm trying to say is that just one section of society. But if in Kerala, if you do an average survey, other than within Kerala political awareness, they don't have, and this is true for every other state. Okay, they won't have awareness of what's happening in the other state. Fine. Problem is the average Malayali thinks that they know what's happening in UP.
Yeah.
And they know what's going to happen in 24.
Right, correct.
That is the problem. That is where I have a problem.
Okay.
You have no understanding. You have no idea about what's happening elsewhere or where the entire country is going. And yet you go, in such deep speeches people give, such deep thinking people have. I'm astounded. Yeah. Of course, there are right-thinking people. I'm not saying there aren't.
Not generalizing, but
there are, broadly speaking, Kerala society puts itself on a higher pedestal than probably it should. And if it really looks into it and sees where, Karnataka is going or Tamil Nadu is going or Gujarat is going and any other state in that country for that matter is going, economically speaking, investment-wise, development-wise, Kerala is taking a backseat. Just that sort of awareness Malayalis need to have.
Got it.
That's where I...
I know I can see that passion, that fire in you, man.
Because
to get the state going, but it's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere, and it's very frustrating. Yeah. It's such a beautiful state. I mean, I'm Malayali, I'm biased, but it's such a beautiful state. The greenery, the rivers. It's such a beautiful, wonderful state in so many different ways.
Sure.
But self-reflection, if I say in Hindi, self-reflection hona chahiye na. Like you
correct.
should be able to think about who you are, what you are doing. Are we going in the path that we are intending to go? What are our young guys doing? Are they able to get jobs? There's no
clarity on
Yes.
that front. I get that. I just wanted to ask you this, that the Hindi imposition debate that goes on in the rest of the southern Indian states, how do you as a Malayali take it? Though, is there, I mean, Hindi imposition, because I personally feel that compared to at least Tamil Nadu, I think Kerala mein there's not the Hindi is not big issue, right? I mean, you go there and then by chance if you're not able to converse in English, there are, I mean, people are accommodative that way. I've seen that personally as well.
So
people know Hindi, by the way. It's not
yes.
like they don't know Hindi or they
maybe thoda bol sakta
hu. But see again, if somebody doesn't know, then people will oblige and they'll talk in English. ऐसा नहीं है कि यार नहीं English ही आनी चाहिए.
There's no anti-Hindi politics. The anti-Hindi agitations that happened in Tamil Nadu, it didn't happen in Kerala that much at that level at all. And the reason is that Congress is always promoted and the Communist Party has never really been opposed to it. Hindi has always been a tool of nationalism, right? It was a tool of nationalism in North India and multiple parts of the country otherwise. In Kerala also, Congress had Hindi Prajar Sabha and whatnot. Knowing Hindi was part of the Congress ka, ideological discourse. That it's the language that most Indians know. You should also know Hindi. So funny thing happened is when one of the Congress MPs called Kodikundal Suresh, he actually took his oath in Hindi in 2019, I think. And that became an issue because apparently the UPA chairperson, Srimati Sonia Gandhi, objected to that because he took it in Hindi.
Okay.
I don't know if that news is verified or not, but he took it in Hindi, and that became a little bit of a talking point because it's a southern Indian Kerala state MP who took his oath in Hindi. Because Congress has generally had that pro-Hindi sentiment, and it's not been a big issue in Kerala. Malayalis have no great love for their language. Okay?
Oh, really?
They don't have a great love for. I'll be very honest. There's been some elements of promoting anti-Hindi politics now because of BJP strength and whatnot.
Okay.
It is a talking point for some people, but more often than not, an average Malayali isn't bothered about language that much. Half of Malayalam has become English anyway. We say breakfast, we say vibe. So just we had Onam a couple of weeks back, and Onam, if you look at the national media channels when they're presenting Onam programs, they say Onam vibe.
Oh, really?
Okay. I'm not kidding. News presenters saying, oh, this vibe for this Onam is really great. Okay. So it's become like English has become like a lingua franca. Many English terms have become part of Malayalam only. So that is there. We are very accommodative that way. Hindi, again, a lot of Jawans, once they come back, they know Hindi. A lot of ex-servicemen, they promote Hindi. And Hindi is taught in schools. I learned Hindi till 10th. So हिंदी तो आता है, थोड़ा थोड़ा सबको आता है, लेकिन बात करना थोड़ा मुश्किल है क्योंकि
आदत नहीं है.
We don't have the opportunity, right?
ठीक है, बाकी का पॉडकास्ट हम हिंदी में ही करेंगे.
नहीं
आदत बनाएंगे, नोएडा में रहना है. कैसे चलेगा? That was the end of first part of our conversation with Ananth. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank you.